Here are the basic assembly instructions to make one of our cloth masks. I'm making one today that's two colors, green and blue. The first thing you're going to do is to baste or pre-tack the elastic ear loops into position on the side edges of the mask. The elastic loops are sewn down to the face side of the fabric, the outside of the fabric at this point. You're going to do this the same on both sides of the assembly. Pre-tacking the elastic loops gives you the ability to control the loops later on in the assembly process. So there you have the two halves of the mask. You're going to take one and flip it over on top of the other, doesn't matter which. And then you're going to sew the long center seam on the mask. Start off with a few back tacks. The ear loops are now to the inside of this assembly. You're going to sew this with a 3/8 inch, 10 millimeter seam allowance approximately. When you get to the end of that seam, back tack that as well. Now you have the left and the right halves sewn together. And you're going to fold the bottom half into the top half here and sew the side seams. The two side seams are both sewn exactly the same way. Starting at the bottom corner of the mask where the elastic ear loop comes out, you're going to tack over that ear loop and then sew up the inside of that seam. Now you'll see here I'm started over on that seam, which was a mistake, but I picked up the seam again and just continued as if I hadn't made that mistake. Sewing it about halfway across the front of that panel. So you're going to be leaving an opening, what is effectively at the bridge of your nose, where the whole mask gets right-sided out. But you'll see that here in a moment. Again, both of these side seams are sewn in the same way. Taking a back tack at the beginning of this seam reinforces the beginning of the seam and also reinforces where the lower end of the elastic comes out of the mask. Again, sewing halfway across that top panel, leaving a gap, an opening in the top center where you're going to right-side it out. You don't have to reinforce the top ends of the elastic ear loops because they get reinforced when you do the final top stitch to finish off the mask. Give the elastic ear loops a little tug to kind of pull out those corners. Now you're going to sew the final assembly stitch across the top of the mask. As you see, I'm starting off with a couple of back stitches there, and that reinforces the end of the elastic, the top end of the elastic ear loop. Now I fold the seam allowances into the inside of the mask and then continue sewing. Again, back tacking at the other end of the elastic, and there you are, your mask is done. If you're adding a piece of webbing, or in this case herringbone tape, as a channel to add your twisty tie or piece of pipe cleaner later as a bendable nose piece, this is where you can add that at the end of sewing the rest of the mask. That's an optional piece if you want to put it on there. There it is, your mask is done. Took me just about 4 minutes to do that, and I wasn't even really trying. Trim your threads or let somebody else do that so you can get on to sewing the next mask. There you go. Good luck and thanks.